All right, everybody, welcome to Indies Through a Black Lens, our first panel of our Black X Speak series, leading up to Black X Film Festival that will be taking place on September 17th through September 19th of this year. My name is Shane T. Watson. I'll be the moderator of this conversation. I tend to speak fast, so if I talk too fast, don't be afraid to leave a comment and say slow down, because I will listen and slow down. I feel like I'm already speaking too fast. A few housekeeping items I want to address before we kick off. Submissions for this year's film festival are still open. Today is actually the last day, is the late deadline, and our final deadline is June 25th. So if you're a filmmaker, you have a friend who's a filmmaker, go ahead and get your film in so we can see if we want to play it in a film festival. What makes us special as a film festival is that we compensate all of our filmmakers and we make donations to nonprofits doing on-the-ground work for Black lives. We're able to do this through donations from our supporters. Our GoFundMe is currently live, and a link will be pinned in the comments for you to go ahead and support us. I'm setting a goal for us of at least $100 by the time this meeting is over with, and I will check back into that GoFundMe before we're over with to see if we met that goal. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're trying to make this festival a success again and make donations to nonprofits. Make money as in get the donations to then give them away, and also to filmmakers. So let's get this panel started. We'll take questions at the end, so be sure to write down all your burning questions that you have for our panelists, and we will get those towards the end. So first thing, I was like, let me look this up, because I feel like the definition of indie is so kind of in the mysterious of what you think it might be. So what is an indie? This is from Masterclass, they're doing something with the indie filmmaker who's going to host a masterclass. An indie film is any feature-length or short film that is made without a major studio or a big production company attached. Indie filmmaking is often low budget, which in the film industry can mean anywhere from a few $1,000s, which is considered micro budget, to a few million. For instance, The Blair Witch Project in 1999 was made for around $60,000, and Juno in 2007 was made for $6.5 million, and then Slumdog Millionaire was made in 2008 for $15 million, and these are all considered indies. I want to throw a good film in there that we all probably know. Moonlight is considered an indie, and I remember this. It's made for about 1.5. It was made for about 1.5 million and won the Oscars. So you don't need a lot of money to make a great film. You just need a lot of heart, a lot of passion, a lot of hard work. So tonight we currently have Alan Nettles and Glena Albatron. We're gonna get that right. Did I say that? No, I said it wrong. Glena Albritton.
Yeah.
Albritton is how we talked about this.
Y'all
forgive me. I read it, said it wrong again. Glena Albritton. Glena Albritton is a producer, writer, and reformed marketer, having worked for many years as a digital media and marketing exec in the entertainment and technology space, including AMC Networks, International, Twitter, A&E, and Fuse TV. In 2017, she launched her production company, Sisu Media Group, to create, develop, and produce content for and about women. Walking the Dog While Black, which I've seen, was the first project Glena directed, produced, and co-wrote through her company. Most recently, Glena produced the award-winning web series Grounds, written by playwright and TV writer Natalia Temesgen.
Yes.
Some of them are right. When not directing, writing, or producing her own projects, Glena can be found on set working with up-and-coming filmmakers, primarily as an assistant director. Glena has been an associate programmer for the Bentonville Film Festival in Arkansas, correct?
Yes.
I hear it's a great festival. My friend actually mentioned that to me a while ago. And funded by Walmart, is that correct?
It is funded by Walmart. No comment.
And has written about TV, pop culture with bylines in Metro NY, Culture Sonar, and Level League. In addition to her work as communications chair for Alliance of Women Directors South, she is a member of Women of Color Unite, the JTC List, and Digital Cinema Society. Glena is currently developing narrative feature film Love at the Roots, which we'll talk about, blended the web series and short film projects Wise Love. Glena, how are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Welcome, everybody. I see some familiar names. Thank you to Kasia, who invited me here. I'm so thrilled to chat with you tonight. So
great, and we're glad to have you. And I will not butcher your name tonight.
You pronounced it beautifully. Thank you.
Glena Albritton. There we go. So, Alan Nettles, our other panelist, originally from Buffalo, New York, Alan R.H. Nettles is an invigorating, emotionally soul-stirring writer and director. Look at them glasses. All right. In 2015, Alan wrote, directed, and produced his first short film, Three Blind Boys on the Block, which held its world premiere at Urban Media Makers Film Festival in Atlanta. The film went on to premiere in Chicago at the Chi-Town Multicultural Film Fest, where the film earned the Best of Fest Celebratory Award. I've also seen that film, so I'm ready to talk about that as well. Mr. Nettles is the founder and executive director of Moving Forward Productions, which seeks to produce television shows and films that truly incorporate diversity, allowing people of all ethnicities and the opportunity to be represented on screen. Currently, Alan is working on a feature version of Three Blind Boys on the Block, along with a holiday film entitled Through the Fire. He also has plans to bring his original musical, The African American Experience, A Walk Through Time, on tour in 2024, starting with Chicago for opening night. Alan, how are you doing tonight?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you're here. So let's get this started. Thank you guys for joining. I'll start with Gleena. What inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Well, I've always been film and TV adjacent. I started in entertainment marketing, mostly in music, and had a desire at that time to maybe pivot into music supervision. And then I didn't do that and moved into just marketing for TV. And as a part of that, and throughout the years, I really realized that I had this love and passion for especially episodic programming and TV. And so one of the things that I think was sort of the genesis for me deciding maybe there's room for me in this space was this short film competition that I launched when I worked at Sundance Channel Global, which is a part of AMC Networks. We had a short film competition for indie filmmakers in Europe, and we launched it in Asia before I left, and we're starting to do some of that in Latin America. And I just really enjoy just forming relationships with all of these creators all over the world. And I was just inspired that they were out there grinding and doing it, even if they, had day jobs and whatnot. So I left AMC, worked at Twitter, was in LA for a lot of that. And I realized I really want to do this. I think that I should be able to do this. And so I started to talk to people, had a few informationals with somebody who had worked with Jerry Bruckheimer. And she was like, you know what? Producing is really just project management. And I was like, I'm coming from marketing. I can project manage like nobody's business. Let me at least try it. And so I launched my first short, which you mentioned earlier, Walking the Dog While Black. That was my first experience ever being on a set. I found a former Twitter colleague, her name's Jade Williams, to help me write the script. She wrote the first draft and then went on vacation. And then I kind of had to come back in and tweak it a little bit and make it work. And we just made it happen. It was a lot of me just not wanting to give up. And I don't think I realized just how difficult it is to make anything, a short, a video, or whatnot. And I think that was probably to my benefit, because I probably would have quit if I had realized just how many roadblocks you might run into. But I've tried to keep going since then. There have been many moments where I'm like, I don't know, I miss having a steady income coming in, because this freelance life is no joke. You have to grind and earn, or at least for me, I've had to earn every penny that I've made. But it's rewarding. I really have loved the people that I've met. And I'm having moved back to Georgia, I'm really excited about the creative community that I've met here. It's very supportive. Natalia was somebody that I met, like you mentioned in my bio, that I produced a web series, Grounds. I met Natalia through this other very supportive couple, Jeff and Sarah Holbrook, who put us all together. And I just have really enjoyed working with people and repeating working with people. That's like a big thing for me. It's just to keep trying to work with the same people over and over again, and continue to grow the tent as we go.
All right. Almost forgot to unmute myself. All great information, Glenna. Like, I'm ready to dig into the transition from industry or marketing, kind of in the industry because you work for Sundance, and then move into like how you got into indie filmmaking, how you just keep grinding and keep going. We're gonna get there because first we're gonna let Alan answer the question as well. Alan, what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
Oh man, I would say my grandmother. I always had a huge imagination growing up, and and she said to me one day, she said, "Hey, I think you should put that down on a piece of paper." And I was like, "Huh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea." And I ended up being able to write my very first stage play when I was 13, and had a local African-American theater company produce it and do it. And it was the African-American Experience, A Walk Through Time, which I'm hoping to eventually resurrect in 2024. But I would definitely say my grandmother, she got me into telling stories. She was a storyteller, to be honest. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. You had a stage play produced at 13.
I did. Listen, I did. Like I said, I had a huge imagination, and I've always loved my history and my culture, and I always found it fascinating. And, growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, there wasn't really a lot of representation, especially where I was living at the time. And so for me, it was extremely important for there to be. And I thought, well, if they're not going to create anything, why don't I just make something? And that's kind of how that birthed. I think my 8th grade English teacher, Miss Nye, who kind of was my, I guess you could say my copy editor, and really like pushed me to really, format and get all those good things together. But yeah, I was 13.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that. Like, that's amazing. And just thinking about the industry, why do y'all think it's so important to support Black independent art and films?
Well, for me, I think if we don't support, then who's going to? The one thing that I have noticed since I've been in the industry, especially as an adult, is that we have to get behind our stories. We have to get behind our content. I have noticed that a lot of stories have often gotten shut down or have been told no because they're Black stories and because they're authentic or because they come from a different voice. And so then you have players and financiers, who will say, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Oh, well, I don't see a Black person doing that, or I don't see that. That's not going to work. I'm not going to fund that. I'm not going to support that. That's never going to work. And it defies the odds. Look at Moonlight, as you mentioned earlier, $1.5 million film, and won the Oscar, for Best Picture, which I think surprised everyone in the industry. And so I think our content is so vitally important, and the support behind it. And not even just support from, these platforms that we have, but also the funding, the financial supporting, and us really coming together and getting behind our projects because our stories so vitally matter. They really do. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of what Alan said, the financial implications really, truly do matter. That's why you have a certain type of story that continues to get sold and told. And, I hear a lot of, or see a lot of people saying, I don't want any more slave narratives, but that's what people support for whatever reason. I think if we were to support this sort of broader array of stories that we have to tell, that include Black joy, which I want to personally see more of, then, I think that we would. And I think like the examples that stick out in my mind of like being supported and like you see it grow is Issa Rae. Like I was a huge fan from the Awkward Black Girl days, and I was, I was watching it and I was like, oh, this is dope. This is dope. And then now she's hooray, and she's got like music. She's got all the deals with Warner Brothers. And I just think that goes from her sort of understanding who her audience is and then like coming along for that full journey, like understanding like these are my people, these are the stories that they like, and like these are some of the interests that they might have, whether it's her taste in music, which she's talked about quite a bit, or even like now management and like cultivating the careers of other creators, or just Issa Rae presents, so that's what I look at as sort of the model of how we can support each other and support each other's work. And I think this festival, Black X Film Fest, like I was so excited when you guys came out. I was like, what? We got another festival and they're paying the creators? Like that does not happen all that often. So that's why you'll always have me like supporting and cheering you on, because I know just how important it is. And I know how important it is for us to even have these platforms to talk about our work. So thank you to you for all that you're doing in this space.
Well, I appreciate that. We're just trying to keep it moving. I think y'all touched on some things that are constantly discussed or thought about. One, slave narratives. If I see another, like, for a while I was like, okay, yeah. Like as a young person, as you get older, like, okay, I've seen like 30 films or episodes, or there's a brand new one that just came out, and I'm just like, oh, the director, he's so good, but like, this is the next project? Okay. And then the one that was really good, that was like really flipped the narrative, got canceled. So that's a whole different story. And I think what you touched on about Issa Rae and her audience, like I know in film school that was like it's always what's your audience, who's your audience, know your audience. When you're selling a product, who's your audience, what's your target? And so you both have started production companies, and I feel like you both have very targeted audiences and very specific missions. We'll start with Lena. Can you talk about your production company and what the mission is and who your audience is and why you chose the audience?
Yeah, so Sisu Media Group is my production company. And I've always said that my focus is on telling the stories for and about women. And then if I dig a little bit deeper into that, it's women who may have like complicated lives or are wrestling with issues that we don't often talk about. Or it could be, just women that we never see on TV, like larger. I'm a 42-year-old plus size woman, Black woman, who wears her hair natural and has before it was even a trend. So I want to see people like me. I want to see older women represented on TV and dark-skinned women represented on TV or in the movies. So that's why I created my company. And I aspire to tell stories that, like I know that there's like stories that are more general entertainment that my family loves, like Tyler Perry, and I'm not gonna knock him. My family would love it if I worked with Tyler Perry. But I will say that for me, I'm very interested in craft and like improving each time with each project. And, Tyler understands his audience. He understands what they will accept. And like for me, I know that I'm aspiring to maybe something that's not necessarily mass appeal, but like the artists and the filmmakers and the tastemakers will appreciate. That's what I'm going for. But it's a process. I didn't go to film school, so I'm learning the craft, sort of by working on other people's sets and, just chipping away at it myself. But that's sort of my focus and what I'm interested in. I want to just tell the stories of people who might be marginalized in some way. And I think the projects that I have in my development slate sort of fit that. So there are two projects that I'm really actively in development on as a producer, and one of them as a director. So one of them is a web series that we're hoping to create as a full-length episodic project. And the web series is more of a proof of concept. It's called Blended. It's written by a non-binary creator, Jazz Williams, who's based in Chicago. And they approached me. We met on Twitter, and they'd written this pilot that I really liked and resonated with some of the characters. And it's a queer family drama, something that I'd never really seen. And I'm trying to think about how much I can talk about. We haven't started our crowdfunding yet, but basically it's two couples who are co-parenting a child, and one of them is a lesbian couple, one is a straight couple. One of the women in the lesbian couple had a baby with the baby daddy who's in the straight couple. And so it's just all about their complicated lives. And I just thought that was interesting. I had never seen that on TV. And I feel very protective of the character who I'd say is, interesting to me, Mariah, the lead, who is the baby mother, so to speak, in this lesbian couple. And then the other project, which is a mental health piece called Wise Love. I'm just a producer on this. And this one is written by a friend and fellow colleague of mine, Tamika Winborn. And that one is about the caretakers who often go unseen. So the main character is a mother who's caring for her son who has real mental health issues. And she makes a decision that could change their lives forever. And so I just thought it was really interesting that we never really talk about caretaking, but a lot of people here in America have to do it. So those are the projects that get me really excited, just because I've never seen them before.
Well, both of those projects sound really dope. I'm excited for both of them. And like the second one I just envision is like this really like emotional, award worthy, like it's the thing like you will never see. And that's like, I feel like those are the films that like people get all the buzz about. So I'm really excited for that. I mean, obviously the other one you don't see either. It's just something about the caretaker one. It's like a very, I don't know. It's just something about it just like spoke to me. Both speak to me, but this one was just like, I don't know. It gives me that,
I agree.
It gives me that like Roma feel, even though I ain't really like Roma, but like it's visually appealing. Anyway, Alan, to you about,
and that's our goal. That's our aspiration. So
nice.
We want this to be awards worthy and buzzy.
Well, I'll be looking for them. Alan, what about you and your production company, your audience, your mission? Why so?
Oh man, listen, I want to see that piece, especially that second film. Like, as a mental health advocate, that's my language, like right there. Like, I'm like, can I know more? Because that's going to be really good.
I will be in touch. We are working on our crowdfunding campaign now, but this one is a project that we've spent a lot of time on, and I feel like our goal with it is to make it our calling card and to elevate all of our careers. And I believe truly that it will happen with it, because it's a beautiful story.
That's going to be incredible. See right there. Like, I guess for me with Moving Forward, I literally created Moving Forward kicking and screaming. I was a student at Howard in film, and I had no desire to own or run a production company. That was not what I was trying to do. But I realized that because I didn't want to be put into a box, and because my film professor said, hey, you're Black, you're male, you're a director, there's only going to be certain types of films that you're ever going to be able to do. So either you accept it or you don't. Well, I'm not one to accept no. So for me, I was like, well, then I'm gonna create my own company and tell my own stories and do my own thing then, because I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to fit there. And it just kind of, organically, turned into a production company that really truly focuses on diversity in our people, and how they move and how they shake, and telling stories and images that you don't normally see represented, really. And I think really the exciting thing for me is with Through the Fire, which is the project that I am actually in development on myself, is a holiday feature film. And it's not what we were just talking about earlier, drowned in trauma. It's, an upper class Black family, and there's components of classical music and opera. And we have an international opera singer who's attached to the project, really exciting. And it's really a piece that presents a completely different perspective of what we look like and how we move and shape. And I think my focus has kind of morphed into telling strong Black female stories, and telling them from a specific lens, to where the Black male has no ego, has no issue letting the woman be who she is and stand in who she is, right? And that's very important to me, because I don't like those tropes of the single Black mom and she's struggling to try to get an education and take care of 4 or 5 kids and all of that. I don't like that trope. I'm a product of a single parent household. My mom was college educated. My mom was an opera singer. My mom, very astute, able to, have the best conversation with you and cuss you out in the same breath. So, she has all of those components. If she's watching, I apologize for telling all her tea. But I really wanted to show those voices. And I feel like, what do we have? We have what? Waiting to Exhale? That's it. And I thought that's really important to me. And I think that Through the Fire, it's Black women of all ages who have these strong voices, and have these Black men who lead behind them and support them and uplift them. And it's 100% authentic and real. They can be 40 and talk about sex. They can be 40 and be thick and delicious and love the body they're in. And in Hollywood, they say that that's not something that people want to see or people want to buy into. But I don't necessarily think that that's true. So yeah, that's M4P for me.
I want to watch that. You got me. I was like, yeah, if you're describing a show I will be watching. So I can't wait.
I think what you're saying is so true. Like, also tired of seeing the trope. Like, Black women are the most educated demographic of people in this country, and we don't get to see that enough. I have a coworker who's a Black opera singer. Never heard a Black opera singer. So your mother being an opera singer, now it makes 2. Like, I want to see that. Like, that's something that a little Black girl who's watching the movie, like, oh my God, I didn't know that was open to me. Like, those doors now become open because of films that you're making. So I'm super excited to see both of y'all's films. So let's go ahead and get these done. So that's another question. That's the next question. How are y'all working on? How does funding come about? What are your processes? Lena just talked about crowdfunding. Alan, how are you funding? Like, what is your process? Do you go through crowdfunding? Do you go straight to financiers? Do you have friends that are just gonna put up the money? Like, because some of us got friends with money. So, like, what is your process of funding your films? Alan, first.
Okay, well, for me, I believe in being very creative with money, and I think that with our type of films, I think you have to go with every possible route that you're able to accomplish ethically and morally and all that good stuff. I ain't saying go out here rob no banks, but I will say that, like, for me, it may be, having a conversation with someone who, loves Black music. And hey, you may have a jazz artist that's attached to your film, Lena. Then hey, let's talk to that person that likes black music, and they'll say, you know what, I drop $50,000 on this film. I like, or you may have a potential finder, I call them finder, or an associate producer whose child wants to get into the industry, and hey, well, I'll support your film, or I'll go out and help you find investors if my daughter can have a cameo role. So with Through the Fire, we have been extremely organic in all different facets: investors, crowdfunding, every single thing possible that we can do. And I think what's important that I think people need to hear and need to know is do not allow Hollywood financiers to tell you no. Okay? Because they're going to tell you no. They're going to say, oh, well, you don't have this. You don't have this yet. Oh, well, you don't have this yet. Oh, and let me tell you something. If you wait for all of those things that they keep telling you, you will never get your project made. You will never accomplish it. And they tell you that because they don't want us to be in those spaces. They don't want us creating these films. They don't. They're cool and okay with what is being put out there. That's what they celebrate and that's what they like. So we're challenging what they're doing. So of course, they're not gonna just say, hey, I'm gonna put this money down. But guess what? There are people out there who will fund these projects. And I just believe, listen, I will go to anybody and anybody, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to getting my project made. But I just don't, that Hollywood traditional system and being a film student, I just call complete BS on, especially when it comes to Black projects, because there's always this thing that Black projects or anything that deals with Black people or the Black diaspora will not make money. And it has been proven time and time again that it makes $4.5 more because we as a people are number one in terms of consumership in this country. And we support our own. We go, we buy. So now you ask yourself why Hollywood financiers say that crap. They say that crap because they know that. They don't want us to, because once you get into the money, then that's when you get into the control. That's when you really are at that table and you can really start making some changes for this industry. So that's let me get off my soapbox. I'm sorry, y'all.
Drop the mic. That was a mic drop moment.
I'm inspired. I'm about to ask somebody.
We can just pipe up. I'm ready to go. Preach.
Right. I'm ready to go. I'm sorry. I gotta go ask somebody for some money because I just got inspired right now. I ain't got no script finished, but I'm gonna go ahead. You know what? I got an idea. You gonna fund it? Like, it's better than what? Yeah. I'm inspired, legitimately. Like, so thank you for that. Like, I wrote down inspired in my notes. Like, wow. Yeah. And that's true. I didn't know the 4.5 number, but that's true. Every time they say no, we say nah. I played it. We've done it. Stop playing with me. So yes, everything you just said. And I love the idea of like, oh, your child want a cameo? Okay, we can do that. Let's bring these dollars in. I'm like, creative. How are we getting this money? Black people are always creative with money, so it's not surprising. Like, you figure how to make a dollar out of 15 cents is a phrase.
Yes.
We can make $1 out of a penny. So, look. All right, Glenna. Now you got to follow up on that.
To answer, I know I can't even follow. I don't even have the words to come with that message. But I will say, just to answer the question straight ahead about what we're doing. So, because Wise Love is a piece about mental health and caretakers, we are going to be approaching, as a part of our fundraising strategy, a lot of nonprofits or people who are advocates in the space, especially like celebrities that we've seen that are advocates for mental health. And then we are not afraid to take in-kind donations. So if people want to donate like a camera kit for us or a grip and lighting package, like those are the types of things that we are looking for in terms of our funding. And then our goal really with this fundraising is just to make sure that we can pay everybody who's working hard on it. Like Tamika and I both have gone unpaid for the past, few few months that we've been working on it, but obviously we like to get, a little bit to the people who work with us, and then maybe pay ourselves a little bit as well. So that's what we're doing for Wise Love. For Blended, we are also going the grant route. There are some formal grants that the city of Chicago has, which is where we will be filming it. So we are applying to programs like that. And then we also will be approaching private investors. Again, not going to turn down any in kind. I know we've brought on a producer to our project who's going to come with some equipment that they're going to let us use in exchange for the producer credit. But yeah, that we won't be turning down any money that comes our way, and we will probably be hitting up our wealthy and not so wealthy friends too, just to see what they can do. Maybe hitting up people who own catering businesses, all of that. We'll be creative.
All right, so let's do a little run through what was just said from Glenna and Alan. So Alan said, "Don't let nobody tell you no. Don't let it happen, especially Hollywood. If somebody want a cameo, if they want to find some money for that cameo, we can make it happen." Glenna, advocates in the space. That is so dope. You can find people who advocate. They're already putting their face out there. You got, let's say, I can't name an advocate for mental health right now. But you say Will Smith was an advocate for mental health. Just bring your face and talk on camera. We can make some money out of your face. Just do that for me.
Raji P. Henson, who has a foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Yeah, there's several celebrities who are really talking about mental health lately. So, yeah.
Yes. And then if people don't know what in-kind donations are, it's basically instead of giving money, they give a service, they give a product, they give something that's going to help you get the project done. As Glenna said, camera package, a lighting package, which is dumb expensive. All those things save dollars. And then you had, I can't write much. Private investors. I would love to know how you're going about that. What's your strategy to go to private investors? Do you have a Rolodex of people, or what is that process? And I'm going to ask that in a second. And then don't turn down no money. So, unless it's I imagine it's some money you might turn down if it's drug money, gun sales type of thing.
If it's, yes, there is some money we turn down.
Yeah.
But, otherwise, if it's, people that are relatively not drug dealers or people who might have us killed if we don't do what they want us to. But otherwise, we will be, not turning down any money. But did you want me to go ahead and answer the question about private investors?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So for that, we are putting together a pitch deck, and we already have one for Blended, and I'm working on that for Wise Love. And so for Blended, we know that there are some people who we will have to go in and pitch. We already have relationships with them through the creator. It's some of their relationships. And so we're just going to go in. We're going to say, this is what we have. This is our cast. This is the team behind it. This is how you can support us financially. Give us 50,000, give us 100,000. This is to make our proof of concept, episodic project. And this is what you will get as a return on your investment. So it's interesting because we're still in the early stages of the pitch process. So I don't have any real feedback for you, but I think just not being afraid to hear the no, and calling whoever makes sense. Do a bit of research on them. Do research on what they might have invested in before. If they're like Alan said, if they're a music person and you have a musician in your story, maybe there's a connection. But yeah, there's a lot of wealthy, high net worth people who are interested in looking for opportunities to be partnered with creators. And so it's just about leveraging your existing relationships and forming new ones, and making sure when you go in, your pitch is tight, and you have a good understanding of what they are ready to open their wallets for.
Nice. Quick recap: leverage your networks, be prepared. Your pitch needs to be tight. And there was one other thing that just slipped my mind: research what they funded in the past.
Yeah, do your research. I mean, I come from marketing, but that's with anything, I think. It's just do your research, have a good understanding of like what people are looking for. I can't tell you the number of people who come in and have met with me and didn't do just the bare minimum of research. So just do your research. And I think that will help instead of just like sticking, just throwing a pot of spaghetti at the wall to see what will stick. Like you can be a bit more targeted, and I think your results will yield more fruit.
Gotcha. Wise advice to listen to. You guys have something to say, Alan?
No, I was just gonna piggyback right off of that. Like, oh my gosh, I feel like a lot of people don't get stuff made because they don't do their research. I mean, I have students who don't do research. It's like, don't pitch a project to someone if you're doing a music project and this person is 100% into sports, don't pitch a music project to someone that's into sports. Like, do your research. Know what these people are interested in, what they like, what they like to do. That tells you a lot about, is this going to be a good investor? Maybe this is not. And don't go in, like, I have seen people do this even with me. And I mean, I ain't no millionaire. Not yet, anyways. But don't come into a meeting and you pitch to someone and you just immediately say, hey, listen, I got an idea and I need $10 million. Like, come in, have a conversation with them. Like, get to know them, make them feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, put that charm on. I feel bad when I see people come in and they pitch sometimes and I'm like, oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Yeah. This is okay. Let me tell you what I can support. And then like pitch decks that have grammatical errors and all kinds of stuff wrong and your stuff ain't right. Like even with Through the Fire, right now we're in producer revisions. And I have literally said to people, listen, this is a draft. If you need me to give you the definition of a draft, I will give you the Webster's Dictionary definition of a draft. This is not the polished copy, so that they know, so that they're not going and expecting it to be polished or it to be right. So when you go in with a pitch, your pitch deck needs to be right. Your title shouldn't be misspelled. Like, come on, man. I don't know.
Get it right. Do not come in here unprepared because you will walk out with $0 more than you had when you came in. I do want to address Kasia, Bianca. You're right. We are cannabis positive here. Legal, illegal, whatever. Do what you do. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Because we know how that industry is going for us and how it's... Anyway, we're not going to get into that. I could go on a soapbox about that. So I want to talk... So, audience... 5 minutes, we go into questions. So the time it runs by when you're having fun. But in 5 minutes, we're going to go to questions from y'all. So be ready if you have some. I want to talk to you about the films y'all have produced. Walking the Dog While Black and Three Blind Boys on the Block, Slot B's. So, like, what was the process? And one thing I'm going to ask you is, what's that one story from set that you really want to tell that nobody ever asked when you get in these panels? Because everybody got a story from set that don't ever get asked. And maybe you don't, but I just feel like that's just a thing. I feel like there's some stories. So who wants to go first? I'm going to let y'all choose who gets to go first about what's the process of making the film and what's that story you want to tell?
Alan, you go first.
Okay, you want me to go first? Okay, I'll go first. Okay. So which do you want first? Do you want the story on set or do you want like the process of making the film?
Let's go with the story on set, and then we can then jump to Glena, and then we can get to the process.
Oh Lord! I hope my producer Kel ain't watching this. There's a lot of things that were on set, but I will say in particular, one thing that stuck out to me it was our very last day of shooting. We were on a very tight schedule because the first producer had embezzled all of our crowdfunding funds. And so we had $0 when we, went into principal photography. And so the associate producer, she had to step into producer mode. I don't know how she did it, but she managed to get it was a professional crew, entire crew to want to do the project pro bono, the actors pro bono, like everything. And so we had to shoot at a church, and something happened with the first location, and so we had to switch. Well, I had an actress who, she thought she was Meryl Streep, and hey, but Meryl Streep, but she my Aunt Bertha off the street up here at the 7-Eleven could probably act better than her. But anywho, she thought she was Meryl Streep, honey, and she threw her weight around. And so when we were able to get another location, like within maybe 20 minutes, and it was about 10 minutes away from the first location. And so this location was actually a huge church, air conditioning, beautiful. We had like all this space, all this stuff. Well, she walked around, and I guess she was terrorizing the crew and the cast. She was walking around complaining and yelling and fussing and cussing and all this, unbeknownst to me. So when it was time for me to shoot her scene, she wasn't giving me what I wanted because she was supposed to be really angry, and she was supposed to be talking to her son. Her son was like calling her all kinds of B words and all this kinds of stuff. And she wasn't giving me what I needed. So I said, I told my camera guy, I said, let me sit in and play her son. Well, everyone was scared at this time because this woman was like really, really off the chain. Like she was like going off. Well, I didn't know. I sit in with her and I'm calling her all kinds of B's. I'm getting all up in her face, all in her grill. And all you could see was just red. And the crew and the cat, everybody's just kind of like, oh God, I don't think Alan knows what's going on. Like what's happening here. But guess what? I got my shot. And guess what? She looked like she was mad. So, hey. So that was probably my story. From that experience. And then what was the second question?
The second question was what was the process making the film? But I'm gonna hop to Galena to tell her story, and then we'll hop to the process, just so we can get everybody in.
Awesome.
Okay, I was trying to unmute myself. So my stories are probably all around a couple of things. So our first day of shooting, we went to Corona, California from LA. And so that was like 60 miles outside of LA for those who don't know. And we were there just because of permit. It was cheaper from a permit perspective. I wouldn't have had to hire a police officer. And because for those that don't know, Walking the Dog While Black is about, it's sort of autobiographical. It's a dramatization of something that happened to me one night walking my dog at the park across the street from my apartment, where I'm out. The police sort of follow me around the park, and they freak me out, to be quite honest. And so that's really like what the story is about. So it's a dramatization of, like somebody that's supposed to sit in for me. And so on our first day of shooting, we have the cop car in the park. We are shooting day for night, and a sudden storm blows up. And I was just like, oh my God. So my AD's like, I think we got to pack it in. There's lightning strikes coming. Like, I think we just, I think we got to cancel this shoot. And I'm like, I was about to cry because I was just like, I spent all my money on this thing, and it's all about to blow up in smoke because of a storm. But we set it out. Like, I actually sat in the back of the police car, which probably now that I think about it, not a great visual. But I kind of sat in the back of the police car, and we kind of waited for about 45 minutes, and the storm blew over. We waited for things to kind of get dried off by our small crew. and we kept rolling, and we got a free wet down. So that was where I thought like my movie career was going to end as quickly as it started, though, because it was just my first day shooting, and I was directing that piece as well as the producer on it, and I was the primary producer. And the one thing I will say, sort of starting to answer your question about process, is that I did not give myself enough time to get into the director's mindset. And so that first day, I felt kind of like a deer in headlights as we were just trying to figure out how things would go. And another story from that day, one of the actors was like an hour late for showing up, and he was like one of the cops so it's two cops in the cop car, and so that was not super great. But like otherwise, we got through it. I learned a lot. I definitely made a lot of mistakes, but ultimately we got the movie in the can.
Ooh, I know them rain stories. Because when you in California, like, it don't rain in California. That's where it'll always get you.
Yeah, it doesn't. I was just like, it never rained. Like, how is this happening? But yeah, so that was crazy.
Ooh. And Alan, how about your process of making Three Blind Boys on the Block?
Oh, Jesus, that project, that was a lot. That process was a lot, because I didn't make Three Blind Boys on the Block because I necessarily wanted to, but I did it because I felt like I had to, because I felt like when you are sitting in a room and you are in a sea of vanilla faces, and, you know, these killings are consistently going on. I think Walter Scott had just gotten shot in South Carolina when I wrote it. And they're telling you that this is ambitious, too ambitious, and not realistic, and, you know, not something that we want to see or talk about. I just kind of felt like this means that I have to do it, you know, because you sit here and you're saying this to me. So that was really kind of where it came from. But I think with Three Blind Boys, what was interesting for me, really was what happened after. I don't think I really knew what I was doing as a director or as a writer. I think I was, I was a student, and I was still, trying to figure things out. And I really didn't, I guess like what Lena said, I didn't give myself enough time to prepare as the director and really get my mind in it. And I think the interesting thing that I struggled with, and I still struggle with as a director, is I'm very old school in the sense where I like for my actors to do a lot of research. I like to have rehearsals. I like to really spend time with my actors and really teaching them. And it was a challenge to try to get these young, just special actors on board with that. And a challenge to be honest to yourself and be true to yourself as a director in the work. And I think that was challenging, but I think I learned a great deal from doing Three Blind Boys. A lot of things I wouldn't do again, but I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think as a student that's ambitious, I think you had 8 people in the cast, if not more. The 3 at the beginning, the woman, the reporter, the 3 blind boys, and then the older guy. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So, just in case there are people out there with questions, I'm gonna hop to y'all right quick. If there are no questions, are there anybody in the audience have questions? You can try to take the mic, or you can drop it in the. Oh, there's a question from Shauna. Where can we watch your work?
I'm happy to send private links to people. I've not posted mine because I have some sound issues that I want to fix. But it's mostly okay. I've screened it, but I'm a perfectionist. and I don't want it out there the way it currently is. So, but yeah, I'd be for anybody who wants to get it, I'll put my email in the comments, and you are more than welcome to email it. Email me if you want to see it.
Got it.
And for me, some of my stuff is on my YouTube channel, and I can put that in the comments too. Not everything that I have done is on YouTube now, because I'm like Lita. I'm like, some things y'all ain't gonna ever see. But the good stuff is on my YouTube channel, and I could definitely drop it in the chat for you all. So yeah.
Great. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, if anybody pops in, I'll ask those questions. That actually was a question I had coming up, so that's great. 2 more questions and we'll wrap this up. Where do you see what career milestones are you looking forward to in the next 5 to 10 years? And I'll jump to Al.
Okay.
Lena.
Oh, what I was gonna say. So my big career milestones, I would say, are working consistently enough that I can join DGA as a director, because that will be a game changer for me. For those that don't know, Directors Guild of America is the guild for directors and ADs and whatnot. And it just offers a lot of protections that, as someone who just works for other people and other producers, I'm not getting. And it also will make a huge difference financially for me eventually if I work as a director, like in terms of residuals and just those types of things. So DGA, I'd also be interested in like selling a couple of the projects that I'm working on now that are proof of concepts, like selling those and seeing those eventually produced in some way. And then long term is just landing a gig on a show that I really respect as a non-writing producer. I like to write. I don't know that I want to be in a writer's room writing, but I will produce the heck out of it. So that's the goal, like like earning my keep as a producer in a steady way.
Nice. And Alan?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, in 5 years, I want to be able to sustain myself financially as a full-time director and writer and producer, and to be working on, continue working on $1 million films with amazing actors and actresses and just an incredible team. And then I would say long-term, I definitely I aspire for the Oscar. I have to keep it real. No shade to you, Monique. I love you, girl. And I aspire for the NAACP image too. Don't get it twisted. But I want to be celebrated, and I want to be a celebrated director that is not in a box. I don't want to be a celebrated director because I do Black films. I want to be a celebrated director because I am a good director, and I can see the lens, and I can, tell a story visually. And I am going to one day bring Sylvester, anybody doesn't know, Sylvester the artist, biopic to the big screen. His story is so incredible, so powerful. Oh my goodness, if you don't know who Sylvester is, look him up. But I'm going to bring his story to the big screen. So, yeah.
All right. I'm waiting for all this to happen. I'll be right here.
I can't wait for that either. I know. I'm like, okay, how do I sign on? I love your vision board. Yeah, I have like a digital vision board with I'm going to show you guys all of the networks that I want my work to so I don't know if you can see that. With all the companies, and my logo is there amongst them. So yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Nice. I guess I'll ask one more question for y'all. What is your advice for anybody trying to, follow in your footsteps as an indie filmmaker?
Could you repeat that question? I didn't hear the first half.
Sorry. What is your advice for anybody who's trying to follow in your footsteps to become an indie filmmaker?
I would say be persistent and be consistent, because it's easy to feel very isolated and lonely in this, but you have to keep working even if you're not getting the applause. Like, you have to keep working. So that's what I mean by being consistent. Like, you have to keep improving. You have to keep working hard at your craft. You have to keep learning, and you have to keep going. It's very easy. There are a lot of moments where I have wanted to give up just because nobody here in Columbus for a while, it just felt like nobody understood. Everybody's like, what are you doing? You left a 6-figure job what are you doing? Like, I still get that. Like, why don't you apply for this job at Aflac? So I would just say be consistent, keep going, and know that, yes, it can be lonely, but it's rewarding on the other end of it. And have faith in, if you have a higher power like I do, or have faith in yourself that you can do this. You have to believe in you before anybody else does. And that's why that consistency and keeping going and keeping working is absolutely important.
Amen. I dropped the mic there, but that just touched me. Listen, but I guess for me, study, please study. Take time to study. Take those no's and those moments of defeat and those moments where you think, it's kind of like when you're tilling the soil. Sometimes you got to go through some stuff in order to reap a harvest. So don't take those moments lightly. Take them, learn from them, study. I just have to keep saying study, because we don't study, and we don't tell our people enough to study, because just your talent is not enough. You've got to have the skills associated with it. You've got to have the intellect. Understand the business. Take film financing classes. Take accounting classes. Know the law. Know all of those things. And never take no for an answer. Every no is just one step closer to a yes. That's my advice.
Snaps, claps, all of that. Study. The film finance, like both of what y'all said, keep going. Film finance, both of those, I can say those have definitely been advice that I've heard from other people, and they're like 2 things that you should not do. Keep moving and study and know. Just learn. Just keep learning to know what you want to do. And film finance, I still have it never ends. There's just so much you can know. Like, that's why I was like, how are y'all funding it? Learned on the spot. So it's been really great to talk to both of y'all. I'm super inspired. I wish this could continue. We might need to have an Indie Through a Lens part 2 with both of y'all coming back. So there's so much knowledge y'all could be sharing with everybody. I'm super grateful for y'all to step in and sit on this panel with us. Look forward to all your goals of being met in the next 5 to 10 years and your films to come out soon. So y'all got where y'all can see their films. Gleena put in her email address. I'm pretty sure you can contact Alan through Moving Forward Productions. That's with a 4 in the title. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to the audience who came in. And be on the lookout for our next panel and Black X Film Festival that will take place September 17th through 19th. And if you want to donate, the link is still at the top for you to click on there and go ahead and donate. So we'll end this out here. Is there any last words y'all want to drop for the audience?
I'm just going to say thank you again to you guys for offering us this opportunity to speak and talk. And I'm always willing to be a cheerleader for people because I know how lonely it is. So if anybody wants to email me, I'm always happy to have a talk or a virtual coffee. And I will say, it is important to support each other's work, going back to your first question. And I am really intentional about doing that. I try very much to support other creatives who I know are like grinding and doing the work, because it is very easy to get discouraged. So that's what I will say. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who made time to attend.
And I echo that. I was been reading the comments and everything, and you all are just such a wonderful group. I thank my girl Bianca for this opportunity, and if you didn't know, she is attached to Through the Fire as well. She'll be playing a great character in that film, so I'm excited for her and for that. But it's just so wonderful that you all have this platform and this opportunity for all of us to grow, and there's room for all of us to sit at the table and eat and go back for seconds and thirds. So just thank you all so much, and thank you, Shane, for just being a great moderator and just letting us sit up here and talk about our passion. It's dope.
I love to hear it. I love to have conversations. So thank you so much for attending and sitting and giving us all this inspirational everything. And audience, thank you for coming through. Once again, you can check out the donation page at the top. You can check us out on Instagram at Black X Film Festival. Our website is bxfilmfest.com. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, but those are the three majors. And once again, stay tuned for the festival and our next panel that will be coming up in a month or so. So thank you, and everybody have a great night.